cross-posting versus repurposing, and how 90% perfect and published is better than 100% perfect but unpublished. Hello and welcome to episode number 56 of the Subscribe Me show from subscribeme.fm. On this podcast, I talk about how to create membership sites and online courses, how to make, market, and monetize digital content, the world of WordPress, and tools, techniques, and tips that you can use to create a long-term profitable online business. I'm Ravi Jayagopal. I'm the creator of coolcastplayer.com, a pretty yet powerful audio and podcast player plugin for your WordPress site. Today's episode, number 56, is the last and final part 3 of the series that started a couple of episodes ago in episode 54, titled Message, Photo, Call to Action, My Content Cross-Posting Funnel. And the last one, episode 55, was titled The Gift of IFT and Cross-Posting from Instagram. So this episode will make much more sense if you listen to the last two episodes first. So be sure to start with episode 54 and then 55. Just go to subscribeme.fm/54 to start with that episode, or just go to the homepage at subscribeme.fm, and on the homepage you'll see a beautiful playlist powered by, of course, the awesome coolcastplayer.com, and you can check out all the episodes right there.
Subscribeme.fm.
I actually came up with 3 different titles for this episode. The first one was Imperfect and Published greater than Perfect and Unpublished. Then I wanted to be a little bit more specific, so I changed it to 90% perfect and published is better than 100% perfect but unpublished. But by the time I got to recording this episode, I realized that I had not talked about one key distinction in the past few episodes, which is cross-posting the same as repurposing? And the answer is no. Cross-posting is not the same as repurposing. Repurposing has completely different goals. It is to be able to take content you create in one medium. So say you start with a written blog post, right? And then later on, over time, whether that is a few days later or a few weeks or even a few months, you take that content and you reformat and restructure that content, maybe even recreate it from scratch for a different format, and then publish it onto various platforms or mediums. So repurposing is about leveraging your message, but cross-posting is about leveraging your actual content, the actual format itself, and it is done in real time, and is a lot more useful for solopreneurs or small businesses that don't have a dedicated social media manager or content marketer. The problem with repurposing is that it takes time and effort. For the most part, okay? It's not done in real time, and it does not have immediate impact because it is not always published immediately at the time of publishing the original content. So if I were to write a blog post, repurposing it into a video or a podcast is a completely separate project. I cannot automate the repurposing of a blog post that actually has text and images and automatically translate that into a different media platform like video or audio. So repurposing is basically transforming your content and adapting it for completely different media. But cross-posting is taking the exact same content, which is, going back to my original podcast episode from 54, it's message, photo, call to action. Those are all the really 3 basic components of social media marketing in today's world. For most platforms, which really require, unless you're doing audio or video, the basic format is message, you have a photo, and you have a call to action, whether it is to buy your book or to, you're inspiring somebody to do something or asking people for feedback or asking them to engage with you, whatever it is, there has to be some kind of a call to action. So taking those 3 universal content marketing elements and leveraging them across as many suitable platforms as possible is basically what is cross-posting. Now, of course, I have been very clear in the last 2 episodes as well that this is not about spamming or posting junk content on, maximum number of platforms everywhere. You can just reach out for no reason. You should be doing this only on platforms where you have the interest of creating an audience and the intention of engaging with that audience and any potential comments and other engagement that it may create in those platforms. Repurposing has a very different set of advantages. You can reach a completely new audience because it's usually a completely new format. So if you turn your blog post into a YouTube video, and that YouTube video, then you strip out the audio and you turn it into a podcast, now you're reaching people who like to read, people who like to watch videos, and people who like to listen to podcasts. 3 completely different types of audiences that you're reaching. But with cross-posting, it is not that powerful in terms of, completely, you're not really transforming the media itself, right? Your message, photo, call to action, those 3 components are going to essentially remain the same, whether that's on Instagram or Facebook or Medium or even on your WordPress blog. The basic format itself is not going to change. So it is going to remain message, photo, call to action across all 3 platforms. But the fact that you can leverage time and technology to post to a number of different similar platforms where those 3 components have a heavy influence and impact is what makes cross-posting so powerful. So cross-posting and repurposing are like the 2 sides of a coin. You need both sides because guess what? You cannot have a one-sided coin. Now let me give you a great example of content cross-posting automation that almost crosses the thin line to becoming called repurposing, because it actually also transforms the media from one platform to the other. This very podcast that you're listening to, subscribeme.fm, is hosted by a podcast host called Libsyn, libsyn.com. That's short for Liberated Syndication. And one of the ways in which podcasters like me can leverage the audio that we are already creating is by posting it on YouTube. But you may ask, YouTube is a video platform, right? So you can't directly upload an MP3 file. So that means you have to first convert your audio into a video format. What's the easiest way to do that? Simply add a static image, like your podcast artwork or your episode-specific artwork or any photo for that matter, and you create a video out of it, basically an MP4 file. So normally to do this, I would have to first open a video editor like Camtasia Studio, which is what I use myself to edit all of my own video and audio content that I create, including this podcast. So I open Camtasia, I drag in this MP3 audio file, which I've already created, and then I add a static image and then drag it across so that it spans basically the entire audio portion. And then I produce it, encode it as a video, as a .mp4. So a .mp3 now became a .mp4. Then I would have to log into YouTube. I would upload the file, add a title and a description and some tags and so on, and then I hit publish. Now this whole process could take about 15 minutes, even if you have everything ready, right? And if you're quick and you know what you're doing. But normally, you may not really get too many views on YouTube for this quote-unquote fake video, right? It's not a true video. It's audio converted into video. So basically your audio podcast with a single image turned into video for the sake of putting it on YouTube. But still, even getting just 100 views overall in total over time means reaching 100 different people. So when you look at it as just views, quote-unquote views, it may not sound like a big deal. But think about it this way. Imagine walking into a room with 100 people in the audience. But a lot of people I know, including me, would pay good money to get in front of an eager and hungry audience of 100 people that are there because they're actually interested in your content, who voluntarily walked into that room, presentation room, because they searched for the room, they looked through the agenda, and they thought the title and description of your presentation was something they wanted to learn more about. So 100 views is nothing to laugh at. Most people don't realize how valuable even one new listener is, especially when it comes to podcast. Because that one new listener is engaging with your voice, and you have a lot of influence when they connect with you and they like your content and they start perceiving you as an expert. And that is why a lot of podcasters will not go through this whole process of converting their audio to a fake video just to get a few tens of views on YouTube. But one of the biggest automation features for podcasters using Libsyn is their feature called destinations. Using this feature, when you upload a new episode and hit publish, Libsyn will automatically take that episode and in near real time post it to a number of different destinations that you have already configured ahead of time. And YouTube is one such destination they offer to automate. And there's Facebook and WordPress and all other stuff. So when I hit publish each time on a new podcast episode, my YouTube destination at Libsyn will automatically convert my audio into a video using an image I have uploaded, and then also upload it to the YouTube channel using their APIs. And obviously, I've already connected my YouTube account with my Libsyn account. So basically, it's that simple. I just have to hit publish on my podcast. And other than a few minutes for the initial one-time setup, I never, ever have to lift a finger for this to happen each time for each new episode that I publish. So I've also set up additional destinations so that it posts that same video automatically to my personal Facebook profile and also to the Facebook page for my podcast. So right there, that's about, at the minimum, 45 minutes of work that I save with each and every single episode I publish. Guess what all this stuff is? Cross-posting. So now, Facebook doesn't allow direct play of audio files within Facebook itself. So if I post a direct MP3 link on Facebook, like http://mysite.com/filename.mp3, wherever that file is hosted, when somebody clicks on that link, it will usually redirect them away from Facebook to the actual MP3 link in their browser window, where the default audio player on their device, whether it's a phone or a computer, that will then start playing the audio using whatever native player that the browser supports. So basically, whoever is clicking on the audio is actually being taken outside of Facebook to check out the audio, because Facebook, at least at the time of posting this, doesn't offer a native audio player yet. Like, for example, in the early days of Facebook, if you posted a link to a YouTube video on Facebook, when somebody clicked on the YouTube link, it would actually redirect them to youtube.com. This is very early days I'm talking about, to the actual video page on youtube.com. So basically, you would be leaving Facebook to watch the video because Facebook didn't natively play the YouTube video within the Facebook feed itself. Obviously, they changed that pretty quickly for video, but for audio, that has still not changed. Facebook cannot play audio natively within the Facebook feed, and this is true for a majority of directly posted MP3 URLs. Now, I say majority because I've never been able to get a full feel for exactly how it works, because I've seen it work sometimes. Sometimes it'll create a player, but the player will look like, initially when you look at the post, it will look like when you first click on the play button, it will say this content could not be found or something like that. And if you click again, it might work. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it plays right there. Sometimes it takes you away from Facebook. So I've polled a number of different people. Everybody has seen a lot of different experiences based on the platform they're using, the operating system, and so on. So obviously for Facebook, the number one goal is to get you to stay for as long as possible on Facebook.com itself, right? So they can serve you more ads, and you get to interact with more people and companies, and you post your thoughts and likes and dislikes. And they're actually recording all that, and they can take all that and learn more about you and your likes and dislikes and your lifestyle and your friends and family and personal situations, all to serve better targeted ads to you, of course. So just that one tiny bit of content cross-posting from Libsyn to YouTube and Facebook saves me easily at least about an hour per episode. Just the audio to video conversion and just posting it, logging into different platforms and posting it alone, which means I would never ever do it if I had to do all that manually each time for each and every episode. So I automate it. And guess what that automation is called? Yep, cross-posting content. And I guess in this specific case, you could technically label it as repurposing, because it actually transforms the content from one media to another, from audio to video, to a completely different type of platform to reach a completely different type of audience. And that is how I define repurposing. Now, you may argue that this YouTube video is really a fake video and that it has just one slide across the entire audio podcast. And obviously, that is not exciting and is quite boring to watch a video that's basically just one big audio file with one single slide. Nobody's going to sit in front of that and watch it technically. You could still play it and be doing other stuff, but then a podcast is a better format for that. But this is not about what's a better format. This is about using the search engine optimization benefits of your title and your description and everything else on YouTube or for that YouTube audience, and seeing if they can find somehow run into your video there. And then from there, you can take them back to your podcast. From there, you're taking them back to your blog post and so on, to your other products and services. So yes, you could argue that it's a fake video that doesn't add much value, which is why it's not really a good example of repurposing. But do you know what I would have to do in order to create a full-blown visual presentation for each podcast episode? I would basically have to use like PowerPoint or Powtoon or other presentation software to hunt for text and visuals and create a visual presentation for my entire show. And if I have a 30-minute podcast episode, that's probably about 5 minutes of presentation work per 1 minute of audio, at the very least. So it would take me about 150 minutes at the very least. That's 2.5 hours of work. And even after I do that, having 20 slides of visuals for a podcast instead of just one single slide is still not guaranteed to get 20x more engagement just because it had 20x more slides, right? So 20 times more slides doesn't mean 20 times more engagement. So if you can afford it, these are the kind of tasks that you should be outsourcing, because content creation is your responsibility, but content formatting and reformatting and reposting and repurposing does not have to be. And you can always hire somebody else to do it. So if video was your main marketing platform, then of course you should not be cross-posting from an audio platform into video. Instead, in that case, I would create a video first, right? There you can see a lot of people whose starting point of their content creation funnel is video. They're really good at video, doing Facebook Live and Periscope and all real-time live video formats. And from there, they start, cross-posting and repurposing and into other formats. So if video was your main platform, then in that case, I would start with creating the video first and spending as much time as it takes to create the video, and then use that as a starting point to cross-post to my other platforms. Maybe not in real time, because it's hard to automate taking a video and converting it into audio and converting it into text and posting it to Instagram and Facebook. You can't do that. It's harder when you start with video, but you can still automate some parts of that, and you can outsource other parts. So for instance, I could take out the slides from the video I have already created, like the visual presentation stuff, and you could create a PDF from it. And then I can do a lot of different things with that PDF, like you could offer it as a lead magnet. You can offer it as a free download in the members area for existing subscribers or members. And you can offer it as an additional format in the online course for some people who prefer reading, instead of just watching a video. Some people are good at skimming and they want to consume it fast. They don't want to sit through a whole video. And then you can take that same PDF, you can upload it to SlideShare, you can upload it to LinkedIn and so on, which I think SlideShare is now owned by LinkedIn. So I can extract the audio from that video and then use that as a podcast episode. So in this particular example, I would be going from video to audio and then to PDF and so on. So it doesn't matter which direction you're going, the combination of cross-posting and repurposing will greatly increase your ability to reach a bigger audience across different formats, mainly because of the different formats in which you're publishing it. And cross-posting is a lot easier to get started with and set up and automate than repurposing. So this is not really about saying which is better. I'm just saying this is the cross-posting funnel that I've been talking about, my own funnel, that in the last couple of episodes. So going back to the fake video of my podcast that was posted to my Facebook feed and my Facebook page, I actually get quite a few Facebook views, even though on Facebook, if somebody sees it for 3 seconds, even while they're scrolling through their feed, they basically count it as a view. So whatever that's worth. And I do get likes and listens for these videos. And even if I end up getting one extra listener who turns into a future fan because of that, the whole thing would have been worth it. Because guess what? It's not like I had to do anything special. I didn't even have to lift a finger to do it, right? It was all automated. So the moment I hit publish on my audio podcast, everything else was automated. So it's not like I had to even think about it or do anything. So an imperfect fake video that is actually published is better than a perfect video that was never published because you never got around to creating it. A lot of people get too hung up about perfection, which is why most software products stay in development mode for too long, right? Membership sites don't get launched because they're trying to get every single piece of their quote unquote funnel perfect and ready for $1 million launch and for thousands of affiliates to promote it to hundreds of thousands of people. Well, guess what? It doesn't always start like that. And you can't wait until you get to the point where you were only doing $1 million launches, because if you haven't done the $100 and the $1,000 and the $10,000 launches, you're not going to start off with your first ever website with $1 million launch. And podcasts similarly don't get launched because people are too busy trying to find the perfect mic. They want to create the perfect audio. They want to find the perfect time to launch. What time of the day is it? Should I launch my should I publish my podcast? How long should it be? And you hire the perfect partners. You want to have a perfect 5 or 10 episodes because, they think that the quote unquote new and noteworthy, it will somehow influence how their podcast does, which is all total BS. And I actually talk about all that in my ebook at podcastingconfessions.com. So, a lot of people are just waiting for the perfect launch, but I'll talk about all that in a different episode. And that is why 90% perfect and published is exponentially better than 100% perfect but unpublished.
Subscribe.me.fm.
Now, this podcast itself is hosted with Libsyn.com, which is what I recommend for podcast hosting. And use the coupon code SubscribeMe, all one word, SubscribeMe, and you can get up to 2 months for free. So whichever month you sign up using this coupon code SubscribeMe, you get the rest of that month for free. And then on top of that, you get 1 full additional month for free. So go to Libsyn.com and use the coupon code SubscribeMe if you're going to sign up with them. And CoolCastPlayer.com, which is my pretty and powerful audio and podcast player plugin for WordPress, it supports Libsyn feeds. So if you go to subscribeme.fm, on the homepage, you'll see a beautiful feed player powered by Coolcast Player. And that is actually being powered by my Libsyn feed for this podcast at subscribeme.fm. So that brings us to the end of today's episode. Hope you enjoyed that mini series about content cross-posting, where I talked about my favorite content cross-posting funnel, starting with a post on Instagram and then have it flow to other platforms with some automation with a WordPress plugin and IFTTT, if this, then that. That was the last episode 55. So check out that. Check out the last 2 episodes as well. And please do subscribe to my podcast. If you're on iTunes, if you're on an iPhone, go to subscribeme.fm/iTunes. And if you're on Android, go to subscribeme.fm/Android. And you'll be able to subscribe to this podcast. I appreciate that. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please email me at Ravi, R-A-V as in Victor, I, at subscribeme.fm and let me know what you think. Cheers and talk soon.
What a